Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to give you that essential edge on the current affairs that matter, especially for you, the dedicated UPSC aspirant.
That's right. Today we're looking at May 10th, 2025, Part 1. We've pulled together the key info from various sources for you.
And just a heads up, some of these topics might ring a bell. We may have touched on them before, so think of it as a good chance for revision, really locking in those concepts.
Exactly. Our mission today is simple. Cut through the noise and give you the crucial insights needed for your UPSC prep. We've got quite a bit to cover, everything from coal gasification to Chile.
Right, a packed agenda. Let's start with coal gasification. There's been a new agreement under the Ministry of Coal's Financial Incentive Scheme, Category 2 specifically.
Okay, so what is coal gasification fundamentally?
Well, it's a thermochemical process. You take coal, heat it intensely. We're talking 1,000 to 1,400 degrees Celsius.
Wow, that's hot. It is, and you do this with controlled amounts of oxygen and steam. The result, you convert the solid coal into a gas mixture called syngas, mostly carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and some carbon dioxide.
So how does that work in practice? What are the steps?
Well, first, you crush the coal. Smaller pieces mean more surface area, which is key. Then you feed it into a reactor.
Oh.
Inside that reactor, with that limited oxygen or air and steam, partial oxidation happens. It breaks down the coal chemically, releasing the syngas.
And is that it? Just make the gas?
Not quite. A really crucial step after that is cleaning the syngas. You have to remove impurities, things like tar, sulfur, dust particles. Otherwise, it's not very useful.
Makes sense. Now, the sources mentioned two main approaches, ex situ and in situ. What's the difference there?
It's basically about where the gasification happens. Ex situ means outside the original place. So you mine the coal first, then gasify it in a purpose-built facility above ground.
Right. And in situ?
In situ means in the original place. So you gasify the coal while it's still underground in the seam. You inject the oxygen and steam directly down there.
Ah, okay. So different situations call for different methods.
Exactly. Ex situ works well for shallower coal deposits that are easier to mine. In situ is often better for deeper seams or ones that might be uneconomical to mine conventionally.
Are there efficiency trade-offs?
Potentially. With ex situ, you have the energy cost of mining and moving the coal. In situ avoids that, which could make it more efficient overall for those deep reserves, although it has its own technical challenges, of course.
Got it. And this ties into the government scheme, right? The Coal Gasification Financial Incentive Scheme.
Precisely. Launched back on January 24th, 2024, it's got a significant outlay, 8,500 crore.
And a big target, too.
Very ambitious one. 100 million tons of coal to be gasified by 2030.
So what's the driving force behind this push?
Several things. Using domestic coal more efficiently, promoting sustainable industrial development, getting public-private partnerships involved. It all aligns with bigger national goals, like transitioning towards cleaner coal use, improving energy security, and importantly, reducing our reliance on imported fuels.
In the syngas itself, what can you actually do with it?
It's quite versatile, actually. You can burn it to generate electricity, use it as a feedstock to produce chemicals like methanol or fertilizers, or even use it as a substitute for natural gas. Lots of potential applications.
Okay, interesting. Let's shift gears now to the international stage. India was involved in the 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forests, UNFF20, in New York.
Yes, that's right. The UNFF is a key body. It was set up by ECOSOC back in 2000. Its whole purpose is promoting sustainable forest management and conservation globally.
And it meets regularly.
Annually. There's a pattern. Odd years are more technical. Even years like this one focus more on policy. It has universal membership, and India's been involved from the very beginning, a founding member.
What came out of the previous session, the 19th?
The 19th session produced a declaration that really reaffirmed high-level political commitment to protecting forests. It also outlined concrete steps towards the UN Strategic Plan for Forests, the UNSPF.
So what was India's role at this 20th session, UNFF20?
India really highlighted its achievements, showcasing progress in forest conservation, sustainable management practices, and reaffirming its commitments, the voluntary national contributions, under that UN Strategic Plan for Forests for 2017 to 2030.
And we have some concrete figures on forest cover, don't we?
We do. According to the latest India State of Forest report, forest and tree cover now makes up over 25% 25.17% to be precise, of India's total geographical area, which is significant progress.
What kind of initiatives are driving this?
Oh, quite a few major ones. You've got the Aravalli Greenwall project for restoring degraded land. There's been a really impressive increase in mangrove cover, nearly 8% over the last decade.
That is impressive.
Then there's the Green India mission, which has seen afforestation across 1.55 lakh hectares. And also community efforts like the Ek Ped Ma Ke Naam campaign, planting 1.4 billion seedlings.
Wow. And India also extended an invitation regarding big cats.
Yes, a significant diplomatic outreach. India invited all UN members to join the International Big Cat Alliance, the IBCA.
What's the goal of the IBCA?
It's an Indian initiative focused on collaboration research, sharing knowledge, building capacity to conserve the world's 7 major big cat species. It really positions India as a leader in global conservation.
And beyond just planting trees, India is looking at the value of forests.
Absolutely. They're doing studies on ecosystem services, trying to quantify the benefits we get, things like carbon sequestration, how forests help provide clean water, their role in biodiversity conservation. They're using established frameworks like SIA and MEA to put a value on these vital services.
Okay, from forest to physics. This next one sounds almost unbelievable. CERN's ALICE detector confirmed lead being turned into gold at the LHC.
It does sound like something out of medieval alchemy, doesn't it? The old dream of Chrysopoeia.
Right, making gold from lead.
Yeah, but alchemists tried chemical methods. Modern science showed lead and gold are distinct elements. Chemical reactions won't do it. What happened at the LHC is nuclear transmutation, a whole different ballgame.
So how on earth do you transmute lead into gold in a particle collider?
Okay, it involves lead nuclei colliding, but in a very specific way called ultra-peripheral collisions, basically near misses.
Near misses.
Exactly. These lead nuclei, packed with 82 protons each, are moving at almost the speed of light. When they pass super close, the electromagnetic fields they generate are incredibly intense.
Right, all those moving charges.
Precisely. These fields compress into what's effectively a short, powerful pulse of photons. This photon pulse can hit one of the lead nuclei as it flies past.
And that hit does what?
It triggers something called electromagnetic dissociation. The photon interaction essentially shakes the nucleus so violently that it can eject particles. In this specific case, ejecting 3 protons and 2 neutrons from a lead-208 nucleus leaves you with a gold-203 nucleus.
That's incredible precision, and ALICE detected this.
Yes, the ALICE detector, especially using its zero-degree calorimeters, or ZDCs, was key. It could identify these specific photon-nucleus interactions and, crucially, detect how many protons were knocked out.
So it could distinguish gold from other possibilities.
Exactly. It saw events corresponding to 0, 1, 2, or 3 protons being ejected linked to lead staying lead, or becoming thallium, mercury, or indeed gold. It's the first systematic experimental confirmation of this happening at the LHC, shows ALICE's power for studying these rare events.
Maybe a quick refresher on the LHC and CERN for our listeners.
Sure. The LHC, the Large Hadron Collider, is at CERN near Geneva. It's the biggest, most powerful particle accelerator globally, a 27-kilometer ring underground.
And CERN?
CERN is the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Started in 1954, kind of Europe's first big joint science venture after the war. It's the world's leading lab for particle physics. It has 23 member states, plus 10 associate members.
Including India.
Including India, yes.
Okay.
Our associate membership means Indian scientists collaborate and contribute significantly to the research there. And ALICE, specifically, is one of the LHC's main detectors, designed primarily to study heavy ion collisions, like these lead ones, to understand conditions similar to the early universe.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's bring it back closer to home, to maritime defense. The Indian Navy has taken delivery of Arnala.
Yes, Arnala. This is the first of 8 anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft, or ASW-SWCs, a new class of ship for the Navy.
And it's indigenous.
Highly indigenous. Designed by Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers, GRSE, in Kolkata, and built by L&T Shipyard in Kattupalli. It's a great example of a public-private partnership, a PPP, working in defense.
What's the significance of the PKP approach here?
Well, it leverages the strengths of both the public sector design house, GRSE, and the private sector shipyard, L&T. It's seen as vital for achieving Atman of the Bharats, strategic self-reliance in defense manufacturing. It also follows Indian Register of Shipping classification rules.
And the name Arnala.
It's named after the historic Arnala Fort near Vasai in Maharashtra. a nod to India's maritime history.
What makes this ship stand out?
Well, it's the largest Indian naval warship using diesel engine water jet propulsion. It's about 77 meters long, designed specifically for shallow water operations.
What kind of operations?
Its main jobs are underwater surveillance in coastal areas, search and rescue, what they call low-intensity maritime operations, or LIMO, and of course its primary role, anti-submarine warfare in coastal waters. It can also lay mines.
So it really boosts capability close to shore.
Absolutely. Enhances India's shallow water ASW capacity significantly, which is critical for littoral security. And again, that indigenous content figure over 80%. That's a major achievement for Project 21301, which is the designation for this Arnala class.
Staying with the Navy, let's talk about INS Vikrant. It was recently deployed to the Arabian Sea.
Yes, a significant deployment, particularly given the context of recent tensions with Pakistan after their attempted aerial actions. Vikrant's presence sends a strong signal.
And Vikrant is special because
it's India's first aircraft carrier that was designed and built entirely indigenously, a landmark achievement.
Who designed and built it?
Designed by the Indian Navy's own Warship Design Bureau and constructed by Cochin Shipyard Limited. It was commissioned back in 2022.
Indigenous content level.
Also very high, 76%. Building something this complex domestically is a massive step. It really cements India's status as a blue water navy, one with global operational reach.
It puts India in rare company, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Only a handful of countries, the US, Russia, France, UK, China, have the capability to design and build aircraft carriers. So India joining that group is huge.
Can you give us a sense of its scale?
Oh, it's immense. 262 meters long, 62 meters wide. It has 14 decks, like a 14-story building on the water. Carries over 1,500 personnel, displaces around 43,000 tons. Power comes from 4 gas turbines, giving it a top speed of about 28 knots and an endurance of around 8,600 miles. It can operate independently for about 45 days.
And its main purpose carrying aircraft.
Exactly. Its air wing can comprise up to 30 aircraft. That includes MiG-29K fighters, Kamov-31, and MH-60R helicopters, plus our own indigenous ALH Dhruv and the naval version of the LCA Tejas.
How do the planes take off and land?
It uses a stow bar system, short takeoff, but arrested recovery. There's a ski jump ramp at the front to help aircraft take off, and arrestor wires across the deck to catch them when they land.
Okay, let's switch tracks completely now to health. World Thalassaemia Day was May 8th. A good moment to refresh our understanding of this condition.
Yes, absolutely. Thalassaemia is an inherited blood disorder. We might have covered this briefly before, so this is a useful recap for your notes.
So what's the core issue with thalassemia?
It means the body doesn't produce enough hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is that crucial protein inside red blood cells responsible for carrying oxygen.
And less hemoglobin means?
Less oxygen gets delivered around the body. This leads to anemia. Symptoms typically include fatigue, feeling weak, shortness of breath, sometimes dizziness or pale skin, just generally feeling unwell.
How does someone get thalassemia?
It's purely genetic. You inherit a faulty gene, a mutation, related to hemoglobin production from one or sometimes both parents. The specific mutation determines the type and severity of thalassemia.
So symptoms can vary quite a bit.
They can range from very mild anemia, almost unnoticeable, to severe, life-threatening anemia requiring constant medical care.
What are the main treatments?
For more severe forms, regular blood transfusions are essential to manage the anemia, but transfusions can lead to a complication called iron overload.
Too much iron from the donated blood.
Exactly. So patients often need chelation therapy as well, medication, to help remove that excess iron from the body.
Is there a cure?
The only potential cure currently is a stem cell or bone marrow transplant. But it's a risky procedure and not suitable or available for everyone. So management with transfusions and chelation remains the standard approach for many. The key thing affected, remember, is the hemoglobin in red blood cells.
Understood. Now back to defense tech. Reports mention Indian forces using Israeli HAROP drones against Pakistani air defense systems. Operation Sindoor was the term mentioned.
That's right. HAROP drones, made by Israel Aerospace Industries, or IAI, they're not just for watching, they're what's called loitering munitions.
Loitering munitions, what does that mean?
Think of it as a drone combined with a missile. It can fly to an area, loiter, or circle overhead for potentially hours, up to 9 hours, for the HAROP searching for targets.
And when it finds one,
it can then attack it directly by crashing into it. It has explosives built in, so it performs both reconnaissance and attack roles in one platform.
How does it find the targets?
It uses sophisticated seekers, either electro-optical, like a camera, or infrared for heat signatures. This allows it to detect, track, and engage targets, whether they're stationary or moving. Things like radar sites, missile launchers, command posts.
Is it fully autonomous?
It can operate autonomously, but crucially, it includes man-in-the-loop control. A human operator has oversight and makes the final call to attack. There's also an abort capability, so the mission can be canceled even at the last moment to avoid mistakes or collateral damage.
What are its capabilities like? Specs?
Pretty capable. Wingspan is about 3 meters, length 2.5 meters, max speed around 417 kilometers, range up to 200 kilometers. Endurance is over 6 hours, and it can operate up to about 15,000 feet.
And warhead. Accuracy.
It carries a 16-kilogram high-explosive warhead, and it's known for being extremely accurate. The CEP, circular air probable, is reportedly under 1 meter. It can attack from any angle, even steep dives, and it's designed with resistance to GPS jamming using GNSS.
And India's been using these for a while.
Yes, India has been an operator of HAROP systems for over a decade now. They're a known quantity in the inventory.
Okay, next up, the Indo-Pacific Logistics Network, or IPLN. There was a quad exercise related to this in Hawaii recently.
Yes, a tabletop exercise in Honolulu to simulate activating the IPLN. This might be another area we've touched on, so good to reinforce the details.
So what is the IPLN?
It's a pilot project under the Quad. That's the US, Australia, India, and Japan. It was launched officially at the 4th Quad Leaders Summit back in September 2024.
And its purpose?
The main idea is to allow the Quad partners to pool and share their logistics capabilities across the Indo-Pacific. Specifically, the initial focus is on enabling a faster, more efficient civilian response to natural disasters in the region.
So it complements existing efforts.
Exactly. It builds on existing humanitarian aid and disaster relief work. It's seen, along with other initiatives like the Maritime Domain Awareness Partnership, as reflecting the Quad's practical commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific and tackling shared challenges.
Just to recap on the Quad itself.
Sure. The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue. US, Australia, India, Japan. Its origins actually go back to coordinating the response to the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami.
Right, that initial humanitarian cooperation.
Then there was a first officials meeting in 2007. It sort of went quiet for a bit, then got revived around 2017. Since 2021, the leaders have been meeting annually.
And its broader objectives.
Often seen strategically, perhaps as a counterweight to China's influence. But its stated goals include upholding a rules-based order, freedom of navigation, promoting liberal trade, offering alternative development finance options.
But the IPLN's primary goal is quite specific.
Yes, very clearly focused on shared logistics for disaster response. That practical humanitarian angle stemming right back to that first 2004 gathering.
All right, nearly there. Let's look at the Competition Commission of India, the CCI. They've notified new regulations for 2025 regarding the cost of production.
Yes, the CCI Determination of Cost of Production Regulations 2025. This is aimed squarely at helping the CCI better assess allegations of predatory pricing and deep discounting.
Especially in e-commerce.
Particularly relevant there, yes, and in the quick commerce space, which has seen explosive growth.
Remind us what predatory pricing is, legally speaking.
Sure. It's when a dominant company deliberately prices its products or services below its own cost of production. The aim isn't immediate profit, it's to drive competitors out of the market.
And then raise prices later.
Exactly. Once the competition is gone, they can hike prices up. It's prohibited under Section 4 of the Competition Act 2002.
So what do these new regulations do?
They're meant to strengthen the CCI's hand in tackling this. They update the standards for how cost is actually calculated in these cases, reflecting modern economic principles, court rulings, and international practices.
How is cost defined now?
The key term is average variable cost. That's the total variable cost, basically. Costs that change with output, minus fixed overheads divided by the total output of that specific product or service.
And what's the big shift from the old rules?
The main change is moving away from the older, more rigid, sector-specific benchmarks that were in the 2009 cost regulations, which these new ones repeal, towards a more flexible case-by-case assessment. This allows the CCI to adapt its analysis to the specific industry and context, which is crucial for complex areas like the digital economy, where cost structures can be very different. It allows for a more nuanced look at alleged predatory behavior.
So main purpose. Tackle predatory pricing, especially in e-commerce, using a more adaptable cost assessment method.
That sums it up well.
Okay, final topic for this deep dive. Chile. India and Chile are starting CEPA negotiations.
Yes, they've signed the Terms of Reference, the TOR, which is the formal starting point for negotiating a comprehensive economic partnership agreement.
Let's quickly place Chile on the map.
South America. It's that famously long, narrow country stretching along the continent's southwestern coast, bordered by Peru and Bolivia up north, Argentina to the east, and the Pacific Ocean to the west.
That border with Argentina is massive, isn't it?
It is. Longest border in South America, and the third longest land border between two countries anywhere in the world.
Key geographical features.
Dominated by the Andes Mountains to the east, the world's longest continental mountain range. To the west, you have the coastal areas, and in the north, the incredibly dry Atacama Desert. It also has Chile's longest river, the Loa, and some very high peaks in the Andes, including Ojos del Salado, the world's highest active volcano. And being on the Pacific Ring of Fire, it's very prone to earthquakes and tsunamis.
What about its economy? What are the key resources?
Copper is huge. Chile is the world's largest producer of copper. It's also a major player in lithium.
The lithium triangle.
Exactly. Chile, along with Argentina and Bolivia, sits on the vast majority, over 75% of the world's known lithium reserves, mostly in high-altitude salt flats. Beyond that, they have molybdenum, iron ore, timber, hydropower potential, and precious metals, too.
And its government and global standing.
It's a presidential republic, multi-party democracy. Economically, it's significant globally as a leading exporter, not just of copper and lithium, but also things like wine.
Well, that wraps up our detailed look at the key current affairs for May 10th, 2025, Part 1. Quite a range we covered today.
Definitely. From domestic policy on coal and forests to global science breakthroughs, defense advancements, health awareness, international collaborations, regulatory changes, and trade negotiations.
We really saw the connections, didn't we? How domestic initiatives link to global forums, how technology impacts security, and how economic partnerships are evolving. All highly relevant for your UPSC understanding.
Absolutely. These threads weave together the bigger picture of India's place in the world and its internal developments.
So as we conclude, here's something for you to reflect on. We talked about significant strides in India's defense manufacturing, Arnala, INS Vikrant, HAROP drone usage. We also discussed increasing international engagement, UNFF, the Quad's IPLN, the upcoming Chile CEPA. Considering all this together, what do you see as the key strategic advantages India is actively trying to cultivate for its future on the world stage? Something to think about.
A very pertinent question indeed.
Remember, keeping up with these developments is crucial. If you found this deep dive helpful for your preparation, please do give us a like and subscribe for more analysis.
Your support helps us keep bringing you these updates.
This has been your deep dive for May 10th, 2025, Part 1. We'll be back with more soon. Thanks for joining us.